was for his wife. Sometimes you gotta do that.
It's 10 days. 135 bucks a copy of truck 5. My wife says she wants to go on and check the blue ink or anything else. I said, you'll never do that.
She wouldn't say that.
I said, without the hammer, try to do it. I've done it twice.
What you're saying is you need more steel to take you away from the other. That's what I'm doing. That's what I hear.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Zebra. Here. G. Bushes.
Here?
S. Porter. Here. D. Foot. Here. And Brown.
Here. So we're looking for a motion for the consent agenda for approval.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, more discussion.
I just have a couple questions about this.
Oh, okay.
I just think there's a typo on the last page. It says Fall River Road. I think that's Fall River Road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes.
And then, Carrie, did you guys update the dollar amount from the discussion about range to the 4,705?
Yes, and I have a whole email chain, document with that part in here.
And just a quick comment, I'm looking at the lawyer statements and the planner statements, and I'd like to get a better breakdown of what is solar, what is general township business, and the breakout of the planner as far as what the actual planners do. And I'd like to get a better breakdown of that. Okay, I got the billable statements, billable hour statements from the attorney. I understand that, but I'd still like to break it down a little bit better if we could do that. So, in other words, there was like a 2.2 hour call in there, and I'm assuming it's for solar. Okay, but can you speak to that at all?
2.2 hour?
2.2 hour call.
It may be multiple calls at total, 2.2 hours. Nobody's ever been on the phone with it for 2.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
So I can check and see if it's a typo.
Yeah, and I don't have the date or.
I'll look at that and follow up on it.
Because I'm just getting a little concerned about the expenditures on the legal. I know we've got a long way to go there, so that's why I'm looking at that close. So if we could get a better line item on that.
On that particular item, I can figure it out. The rest of it's broke down where he's billing us as solar, so that's everything he does, so that would be escrow, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was the next question was, what is escrow and what is general funds?
So anything solar is escrow.
Okay, but how long is that escrow gonna last?
Well, we sent them,
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, I have the same thoughts, and we've discussed it many times, in the office. Giving them all of our money, and I will tell you this, we're not the only township right now in this situation.
Because if we can't use the escrow, we still have to pay the bill.
Right.
Your other question was about the plan.
Yes.
You want to see breakdown from the plan?
Yeah.
That, there is a breakdown, I believe, for that too, so I will.
far as what's left in the accounts, and I know I've got some of that, but what is left in those?
The escrow account?
Well, in the escrow, but in the legal fund and in the planning department fund. And there's a balance left in there, right, in the consent fund. I think I
Yes,
remember.
yes. I'm just making, my main thing that I look at is the escrow with as far as the solar, because we can't go below what's already in there, because we can only get $10,000 at a time.
Well, but we billed them this last billing was for $17,800 something, we are sending a check for the total amount. So like, then when we have more invoices from people that done things for us, we send them to them. And that's kind of,
But they wanna see the invoices,
Okay.
which
So
I
they're not gonna
understand.
send the 17 plus 10.
correct,
Add a 10.
correct,
They don't send nothing without the invoice to back it up.
correct.
So are we gonna then just, after it's gonna get invoices, bill them right away for it? How are we gonna do
Yeah,
that?
so we have some already, right, that we know from board meetings that still
Sure.
haven't done, right?
Yeah,
Okay, the things like that, I know.
we know it's up coming.
We're gonna be getting a bill from the county here shortly,
Mhm.
probably next week sometime, so as soon as we get those, we're gonna
We're just
package it up and
gonna
send it to them.
Okay, I just wanna know what the plan would then be.
But there's the planner bill for solar, and then there's the planner bill for the master.
Correct.
So,
Correct. And it's the same with my feasibility, separating all of this. So cost structure.
In the code of the public section,
First one or second one?
second, sorry. It says Conway Township is considering a noise ordinance to regulate the source.
Oh, yeah.
So Doug was referring to what the county commissioners are doing with the health department, and I just worry that that looks like we're trying to do something to keep them out. And then just the very last one has a bullet point, but that wasn't actually stated by him, that was another resident.
Township.
The bullet, if you take the bullet out, it just won't look like it's one of Doug's comments, here it's someone else's, that's all.
Yeah.
See,
Okay, got it.
Real quick, are we still, is Abby Cooper still on contract or not?
Yeah.
Are we still paying her?
Well, we had two for, to get some of the ordinances that were in the codification and stuff.
Did we recover all of the work product from Abby Cooper?
We recovered all the ordinance stuff and then she still says she's working on recovering the rest and getting it to us in a file. So I said, well, let me see what's going on.
Okay. We need it back, so.
So, on the consent agenda, we have, how do we wanna do this for the minutes? Do we wanna say as amended? We're unsure at this point what's gonna be amended for the verbiage on the Conway Township. Probably be best if we table, like to make a motion to table the minutes.
I make a motion, we table the August 19th, 2025 minutes, to
For revisions?
Yeah, for revisions.
I'll second that. So, motion to table the minutes from the, August 19th, 2025 board meeting. Second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries by vote.
Are you gonna approve the rest of the consent agenda?
Yes. So, George, you're the one that, or Deb, you're the one that made the motion, so would you like to make the motion to do the rest of the consent agenda without the minutes? Would you like to change that motion then, or?
2 through 4.
What did you say?
2 through 4.
Yes, 2 through 4.
So Still second.
Yes, second.
Okay. So a motion to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 4. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no.
Motion to approve or motion to amend the original?
To approve.
Items 2 through 4.
Two through 4. Okay, moving on, any additions? I do too, so.
Just from the minutes, from the stuff we discussed, we were supposed to follow up on fire board pay rate. And then the fresh show cause hearing, we indicated for this month. Elaine and Debbie had talked about this investment policy, and I'm pretty sure you said this was something.
Yes, and that was just what it was there's the old one and then the new one.
Right. So we're not discussing it?
Well, it was, all that it was just the typos.
Okay. The way you handed it and said it's for next
Oh,
month, I
well,
thought we were gonna go over it, so
yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
well, I mean, if you have any questions, I don't have it with me right
I
now.
don't.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
because all it was just little typos that we
Yep.
just corrected, and
Yep.
that was it.
Okay.
It didn't change anything.
Yeah, it didn't,
so that's
yeah.
all right.
Then we don't need to do that. So then I just have to.
I have supervisor's report.
Wait a minute, that, you want that in the new business?
I don't care where you put it.
I give you a card no less.
Well, I can't say I didn't try.
So the things I listed obviously are old business.
Did the,
So if
not
not,
her investment policy, but the other two,
fire board pay
fire board.
rate, so if you wanna make that A, 9A, 9D would be, fresh, show
Oh,
cause
yeah.
hearing, and 9C would be hearing. Hearing. Yep, and then 9C.
And then we also have
Six.
to, under presentation, 16. And then under presentations, I think they put in there for the, presentation from, Christensen and PhD. Just transfer. Okay. Yeah, George talking about supervisor.
Just threw you off, eh? What was-
So we have Rana Christian and, PhD under presentations. And then the supervisor report is 16 at the bottom. And then this is- So all the
I will
time,
make a motion that we approve the agenda as it is.
Second.
so motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we'll do the first call to the public. Seeing none, we're gonna move on, reports and communication. Dennis?
Okay, last month, we approved Heartland's rezoning of all four corners of M59 and 23. Apparently, there's gonna be a Sheetz gas station and a water park and Chick-fil-A and everything else going in there, so,
Clarification, is that old 23?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And also it was announced that our chair is leaving, so that's gonna leave an opening on county planning, so if anybody's interested, they'll be taking applications.
There you go, Dennis. Ready for you.
I'm already there.
Is it industrial? Well, what position is it called? Commercial?
I don't know, I don't remember which one. This month, tomorrow night, we're gonna be looking at zoning change in Deerfield, in Green Genoa Township, 2 in Howell Township, and I'm not quite sure how, but we have a PA 116 that apparently Handy and Conway have submitted, but I don't think Conway submitted, so, not quite sure how that'll go. And that's all I have.
You saying Handy submitted?
We have it on, it's on our.
It's on our agenda
It's
for
on our
today.
agenda.
I have questions about that.
It's not supposed to be submitted till it's voted on, so that he's confused. They
Yeah.
vote tomorrow, you guys vote today.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, that's kind of what it.
Yeah, I think Handy probably submitted it, but I don't believe they voted on it either, so,
They haven't.
yeah. So, I'm confused.
Okay. Where you from?
Okay, that's official report, George.
Well, last Monday we had the meeting and the Elm Street rezoning was approved. And then we had some discussion on the master plan, and that was basically the gist of the
Condition.
condition. Correct. Okay, and then last night we had a meeting here and we passed a resolution with a conditional, special use application for solar. And that resolution is 27 pages. So,
Clerk's update?
We did receive the request of payment for the recreation, and we're still waiting for the Township for one thing that they had questions on before, right? And then we'll be ready to do the new rec contract payments. And then I have started to draft the identity theft policy. Almost done with everything now before I finish it. I think that's everything about it's not already.
And then you have in the agenda packet, many meeting minutes from the cemetery, so Brandon was wanting that in there to discuss or get some updates. So if anybody has any questions about them or whatever, feel free to ask.
not a question, but is there any issues, Randy, that you need to bring up regarding the cemetery?
No, so what happened, just so you guys know, Rachel was the chair and for obvious reasons wasn't at the thing, so I was kind of doing it all and I didn't realize that they should have always been in the packets. So it was my bad for not submitting them monthly. And so I wanted to make sure that the board had them all. They're all on the shared drive. So from now on, you'll just get them after each meeting. Jamie's the new chair. When she sends it to me, I'll forward it to be added to that, packet each time. So it was just, it's my fault they weren't there before. I didn't realize that they had.
Were they before?
They were before, yeah. Probably, I think Rachel hasn't been here since you guys have been here, so maybe you didn't notice.
Yeah,
But-
Well,
It's-
Liz used to do it.
Yeah, so I'll make sure going, because you guys need to know what's happening. So I'll make sure that they're in there monthly. I didn't want it to look like we were hiding anything or something, so I just wanted to give them to you all once I realized that they hadn't been put in there, so like I said, I know now.
So,
Being in the cemetery.
so there is one thing I want to bring up about the cemetery and the ground obligation, tunneling under the gravestones and stuff. Tried live trap and stuff, never could do it. I'm not sure what the board wants to do about it. Something needs to be done about it. I know,
We filled big holes and we're actually taking shovels and rakes back over there. It has like a special area that it likes and it keeps digging down where the body is and covering this loved one's headstone. And then the granddaughter calls that her grandma's headstone that has a hole under it, which is kind of a little freaky if you're going to visit your grandma, you know what I mean? And then her headstone's covered in like thick piles of dirt. So we bring a brush and shovel and rake and clean it all back up, but it keeps doing it. And we had the live trap there with different stuff in it for 3 weeks, and it just kept digging holes around it. So we're not allowed to discharge, it's in Benjamin. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, can you see the bushes from there, Mike? It's kind of down the hill towards that back corner. It was suggested that firearm was used, but it's against our ordinance,
Not, I have,
not you. And then somebody had said a kill trap, but we're afraid of, like, what's the legality? Like, if we tape it off, does that protect us? Because we have caution tape in the election, like, that's what, it has to die. Like, it's not gonna get trapped, we were gonna relocate it. It can't keep digging up people's graves.
So, this meeting is being taped, you know.
And then there's a taller headstone that it keeps digging under, we're gonna have foundation issues if it's not
Yeah.
gone. We tried to live trap because for us, said we could take it to his house, but it's not, we can't force it into the live trap. So it had its chance.
Ask the removal company and see if somebody can do that, or, I mean, there's only a couple suggestions in my eyes, it's that, or I have traps. But then we're accepting liability on something like that. I don't know if that's,
Cause it's a track someone's working
could, and it's not gonna take the foot off, or, but it could, you could break a finger, or like, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. So when a little kid could break some code, or,
Yeah, I don't think we want to.
Well, I don't know, I've never called, you know, pest,
road and pest control.
well, is that?
So I don't know if they're gonna do the same thing and want to, I mean, we tried the live trap thing and it didn't work.
I know they've done air rifles, use air rifles.
But who's gonna sit out there?
It's against our ordinance to discharge of any kind of firearm in the cemetery.
Is an air rifle a firearm?
Yeah.
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
What about poison? And like a cheeseburger?
They don't eat meat.
They eat all kinds of things.
To Sarah's point, they got those little green balls that come out.
They don't go
But
off.
the only bad thing is what if somebody's pet dog or pet cat gets over there and then they find out that we put poison, I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the liabilities.
Are we gonna, how much time are we gonna spend on this one?
2 seconds. It's one or the other, we're putting traps out there, or I'm gonna call a few pest control places and see what kind of prices.
Do both. You need a motion for that, or what?
Well, I don't wanna do both, I wanna put traps out there myself
I
and
think we
call
should
pests.
at least maybe call pest control, or
Yeah.
who knows, maybe they'll put poison out there.
We don't know.
Call the county, see if they'll come out and try. The dog catcher.
Animal control?
My pet,
Control, right?
my pet wood chucks.
I don't think they adopt those out.
Okay. All right,
Moving
I'll do
moving
that.
on.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, we're to the presentation from Anna and JHP. You can turn the mic on, there's a little button there, hold it for a second till it turns green.
Are you going through this?
I hate to follow that up, though.
Poison them.
Poor Bob.
You could get it. You could get that picture.
Thanks for having me this evening. My name is Tyler Baker. I'm a senior manager at Manor Cross Garrison, the auditors for the township. This year I delivered a few physical documents to your table, one of which being this bound report here. This is the official audit report. What we will be specifically going over tonight is the 2 letters here on Manor letterhead, and then this PowerPoint presentation is what I'll specifically be going over first. Nothing is new in this document. This is just regurgitation from the actual audit report, just to put in an easier, more condensed presentation form to save on time. We're flipping from page to page. So if you have any questions, we can dig into the actual bond report if you would like. So first of all, I want to thank the township for all of their efforts throughout the audit process. We realize that your guys' jobs don't stop when we show up. So we appreciate you guys being available and providing documents and answering questions throughout the audit process, as well as Charlie and his team for their efforts throughout the audit preparation process as well. So feel free to ask questions at any point. Without further ado, we'll get going. So this audit report was for your 3/31/25 fiscal year end, and we'll start with the auditor's report page to start. So the objective of the financial statement audit is to express an opinion on the financial statements as a whole. The purpose is not to detect fraud or express an opinion on the internal controls. And with our opinion, based on our auditing procedures, we place an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide on a set of financial statements that say it is in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Responsibilities of management for the financial statements is the preparation and fair presentation in accordance with GAAP, including the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls, as well as fraud detection, deterrence, and prevention. As mentioned earlier, the auditor's responsibility is to express opinion on the financial statements based on our auditor's procedures, which was an unmodified opinion. Next page at the top, you'll see statement of net position highlighted. So just a little background, government financial statements are a little different, in which there's actually two types of financial statements within this bond report. You have what you're used to seeing, which is like your general fund and other special revenue funds and capital projects funds. Those are on what's known as the modified accrual basis, so that's more short-term in nature. If you buy a capital outlay, building renovations, that gets expensed. This schedule right here puts those items of long-term nature, like building and capital outlays, on the actual balance sheet as an asset. So a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, but I think shows the township as a whole. And so this shows total assets. This is as of one particular day, as of year end, 3/31/25, with total assets of $2.85 million for fiscal year 25. Prior year was 2.88. So overall, very consistent from year to year on total assets. Again, this would include your net capital assets of building, land improvements, and such. Total liabilities highlighted, 3/4 of the way down, just over $382,000, and the prior year was $352,000. So again, overall within $30,000 of the prior year. So overall, very consistent from the liability standpoint as well. The next page is the specifically the general funds budget to actual schedule. So again, this is more what you're used to seeing from reports out of the financial system and monthly reports. At the top, you can see the 4 different columns, and this is your general fund specific, where you have the original budget, final budget, actual expenditures, and then that far right column is variance from the final budget to actual expenditures for the fiscal year 25. Total revenue is highlighted, just over $656,000. Anticipated was $516,000 with a positive variance of $140,000, receiving more than anticipated. Majority of that is an increase in tax base, receiving more in taxes than anticipated, as well as state shared revenue coming in higher than anticipated via the final budget. Total expenses 3/4 of the way down. Anticipated final budget of $812,000. Actual expenditures came in as a positive variance or under budget of $94,000, with actual expenditures of $718,000. With a net change in fund balance, decreasing the fund balance by $224,000, but a positive variance from the final budget anticipated of using up $459,000 for that positive variance of $234,000, which is a combination of the revenues coming in higher than anticipated, as well as spending less than anticipated for expenses. Next page is a nice little 5-year trend just to see where revenues and expenditures came in over a 5-year trend there for the general fund specifically. 21 through 23 shows revenues just over expenditures, with fund balance increasing over those 3 years, and then the last 2 years, or 24 slightly expenditures over revenues, and then in 25 having the use, as we mentioned in the previous years, of using up some of that fund balance for capital needs as they came about, which is the majority of that decrease in fund balance. Next page is the general fund revenues and expenses, revenues being on top, expenditures on the bottom. What this is kind of designed is just to show where the majority of the resources come from revenues, as well as where the majority of the outflows come from. The categories for both of these, which your largest 1 or 2 revenues and expenditures, are similar between the last couple of years as a percentage, but your 2 largest revenue sources being the Burgundy of intergovernmental, which is majority being state shared revenue, was 60% of your inflows, and then the property taxes being the 28% of your inflows. So those 2 combined being approximately 88% of your total inflows. And then the bottom is your expenditures, with the general government, which is made up of a number of different departments, being 55% of your expenditures. And then that transfer out in the top left light blue quadrant. I understand some of those colors kind of look similar, but that 18% is your transfers out, which is to the capital projects fund is where those came out of. Or excuse me, went to. Any question on numbers, graphs, trends, anything like that that we have talked about so far before I get into the 2 different letters?
Not at this time.
Perfect. The first one we are going to go over is this first letter that the first paragraph says, in planning and performing our audit. And then at the bottom it has an underlined review and approval in it. Everybody have that? Cool. So what this is our management letter. So as we go through, I noted that we don't place an opinion and test internal controls, but we are required to gain an understanding of them. And through that process, if there becomes an area within the different control structures that we feel the board should be made aware of, as we walk through those processes, it would be shown in this letter. And this comment is similar to 2 previous years, slightly changed, but similar. And at the bottom, I'm not going to read it to you in every word, but basically what it notes is its review and approval over various accounting transaction cycles. And in the 3rd line down, it notes, as we walked through the bank rec and payroll process, there was a lack of documented review and approval of the processes. That's not to say that there was issues noted in the actual document that maybe the bank rec didn't agree. That's not what this is saying. In the words of auditors, if it's not documented, it's not done to a large degree. And so what this notes is that we recommend the audit process, whether in this instance the bank reconciliation process, is physically approved in some form or fashion by the individual preparing it and reviewing it, as well as the payroll process that kind of denotes that approval process, as well as the timeliness of that approval with the date stamp. So that is what, in less words, what that recommendation shows there in that management letter. And then the second or other letter that you have. So this is the required governance letter. And so this is a letter that us as the auditors are required to provide to governance. You'll note it starts out with significant audit matters, which trips some readers up. It's not to say that everything in here is a significant issue. It's just pointing out the different areas within the audit, such as accounting estimates, that are required to be disclosed, that to governance within the financial statements, for instance, depreciation expense, how long an asset will be used is an estimate, and so it just inherently mentions that the useful lives is an estimate included in the financial statements. It then goes on at the very bottom of page 1 that says, with the header difficulties encountered in performing the audit, as I mentioned earlier, throughout the process, if we requested documents, asked questions, and we didn't feel like we got or received adequate information, that would be noted in here. It doesn't say that. It says that we didn't have any issues with management throughout the audit process. The next page discusses if we had any uncorrected misstatements, which we didn't, or any disagreements with management throughout the audit process. So overall, a boilerplate governance letter to the board, but again, is still required letter. So this is the letter that I said would put you right to sleep, George, earlier. So read this tonight.
Yeah, I will.
Any questions on those two letters, or any other question on the audit as it came up?
Any findings at all?
The review of transactions would be the comment, the written comment.
Okay,
Correct. Bank reconciliation and the payroll process.
Even though we do have someone that looks them over, and then it goes to Sarah, and we have two people that, besides us.
Yep.
They'll look them over.
Yep, so the physical proof of review is what we're looking for. The adequate individual. That's not necessarily what the comment is, but just in all internal controls. And then mainly the documentation that said person that reviewed it takes ownership that they reviewed it, as well as the date in which they reviewed it. Otherwise, we don't know that it was reviewed, besides orally.
Do you have something that gets signed off on?
No, I'm the only one that signs off on it, and then Diana doesn't have a form she signs off on. I mean,
what
that's
happens
emailed to you, but you don't necessarily have a form that signs.
So as an example, the bank reconciliation, right? If you're reviewing it paper, you would print off the bank rec and you have the bank statement. As you prepare it, when you go to deliver it to the person reviewing it, you would sign off as preparer on the date you prepared it. And then the reviewer would then, when they're like, yep, does this make sense, ask my questions, initial it and date it.
Just in the margin.
Correct, anyway.
Okay, it's
Oh,
the same thing
okay.
I started doing with payroll.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. We'll
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the documentation, is key, documentation and all of it's key.
Sign, initial, date, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Because what we get now is an email from Diana.
Diana,
That it's good. That's what we currently
Yeah,
receive.
Yep, I think that's fine, as long as that keeps and is being able to be retained.
So can I?
But that's just the statements, that's not the.
Yeah, that's not the bank rec.
Or the payroll.
Right.
Yeah, if they send the bank statements, that's just so you have the ability to look over it. That wouldn't be the actual review of the bank reconciliation, which shows beginning balance, checks cut, outstanding checks reconciled down to the.
Charlie
Trying
just
to
said.
on that as well. I believe this has been evolving as PhD's gotten involved in the accounting a bit. What I recommended a few months back, one of the procedures I think we should do is once the bank recs are done, they come to the board, get approved at the board level, and then we go in and finalize those bank reconciliations in BSNA. Would that be sufficient, showing all those finalized and we finalize them? So I think as we wrap this up, get through the September period here, that issue will be resolved, that we'll be able to actually have those fully finalized and board approved at that point. And that should be.
For the bank rec side, and if you include payroll, you could include payroll.
So when we do the consent agenda, does that, because they're included in our consent agenda, does that cover that aspect of that, or does it need to be individualized?
I would think it would cover it as long as you guys are having some oversight on the bank reconciliations, approving those as being complete and accurate through that process. So I'd make sure you guys are comfortable with what needs to be done.
That's right.
But when it comes to us, the copies of the bank rec and the payroll journal should be the ones you guys have signed off.
Right, right,
So that we know that that two-step process is.
right. Okay, that's the part I was.
So the same process basically we're doing now, like sign
But
off
adding our
before
sign
the
sheet.
recording.
The one, your internal one, basically.
Yeah.
And we think just a little bit better documentation on it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Which document, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay.
I believe at year end, we had an overpayment of phosphorus with, approximately $10,000.
Yep.
Is that in this prepaid expense, or is it in the receivable number? Or is it-
Neither would be in the payable, because you,
You were saying it was the overpayment.
oh, I'm sorry, it would be in the receivable,
It's in that,
yes.
so it's in this 9905?
Yes, I think so, yep. So I believe it was just under that amount in a small.
Hold on. How did we overpay $10,000?
We got the terms
Twice.
prior to this.
A while
So,
ago,
So is that?
quite some time ago.
Is that the amount we got refunded?
Well, no, because we had some bills between there, and then they were taken out of that, like it was.
So they were related.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was gonna
But
take,
then we talked about it, that it would be better if they just,
it was gonna
so
take
we
a long
keep
time.
track.
All right, because I knew the last number was like 10,000. Okay, perfect.
Don't quote me, it was like
No,
96.
I see, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and when we got the, I think I had Suzie, I gave her all of the bills and said, add these to your cash documents. With either way, we put it all together from all of the bills that had been in between, so that we could, yeah. Oh, they were done.
Perfect. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if you wanna go ahead with the question, I can do that, and then I'll go on to other items.
It's just kind of general.
Okay.
And I guess it's more like a comparison, maybe other townships or something. I don't know if we have here a payables policy.
Yep, so, I met in the office earlier this week to kind of go over the financial statement, the journal entries a little bit, just to kind of get you guys the information that I'd be bringing tonight. At that, I talked a bit more about creating, I called it either a procurement purchase, payables policy, whatever, something to that nature. And I think there should be at minimum 3 steps to this policy. One would be approving an established list of what we call prepaid bills, or like pre-approved bills, not prepaid, sorry, pre-approved bills. That's your utilities, your mowing, your stuff that you know you're gonna encounter every month, and you know it's coming, and you've already approved it at a board level to happen, and you say, okay, this bill's gonna come in, go ahead and pay it, get that done, and then provide a list of what all of those pre-approved bills are within your consent agenda or in this, your normal meeting process that.
That's
Yeah.
what they call it.
Yeah.
Right?
So then, when you're reviewing it, all you're looking is saying, okay, I know I approved this list of vendors, I see this list of vendors got paid, everything's good, right? You look for reasonableness in there. Second would be establishing a discretionary spending limit. That says, these individuals that are, each particular department head have authorization to spend up to X amount of dollars per transaction, up to X limit per month. Right, my idea was say $2,500 per transaction, up to $5,000 a month, or maybe $2,000 per transaction, something like that. So it gives your department heads the ability to say, yeah, we see this training event we need to go to, or here's this particular thing we need. I have the discretion to go ahead and make that happen, approve this knowing it's within the budget, and I can get it done in a timely fashion versus having to wait, go to the board, get approval, and now we're 30, 60 days, where we have this problem just hanging out. And it puts the trust in the department heads to make that decision, but also keep some restraint on there so it doesn't get out of hand. I think from other experiences I've seen around that 2,000 range, if you put that 5,000 cap on it per month, that gives them, really up to, if they're going to the maximum, they're really up to 2.5 transactions a month that they can approve to that extent. And saying you would just have a report in your board packet that says the discretionary spending was done as such. This department approved these items. You guys can see what they are, that they fall within those parameters, and go that way. And then the third extent would be the bill, anything not approved in that fashion would have to be approved at the board meeting before being released. So Carol would get the bills, enter the bill, create the check for it to be prepared, compile that list of what all of those bills are. You guys would get copies of that list, the invoices if you want them, to be able to review what that is before the meeting, discuss it. In practicality, you should be able to approve all of those at the board meeting. Next day, those checks are already ready, can go out the door. You'd be signing out the door because you've already approved them. And that really creates some controls on the process. It creates consistency of what everybody knows to expect. And then it lets you guys know really everything's had eyes on it in some capacity and been approved.
Do you have that written down?
No, but we could put something together.
Thank you.
It's something that we've been talking about too for
Yeah.
a while, but a few months, so.
Well, like, the perfect thing, like for Randy with that cemetery program she wanted to go to,
Yeah.
where the dates didn't coincide and she's missed it for 2 years in a row. And then that way, if she already has like the approval to do that, she can go ahead and sign up, because if you can sign up earlier, you get it cheaper.
I get it in an outline format, you know, and then
Yep.
like bullet point or something, make it simple.
Yep. All right, but even that, you know, to the extent of like the cemetery, that would have the ability to say, hey, yeah, I called the pest control company, they're gonna be $1,000, I know that's approved, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with that, assuming nobody has, you know, other concerns outside of the cost, you know, but it allows things like that to move a little quicker.
So on some of that, like the cemetery committee will say, well, I guess you though technically are part of that cemetery committee. I guess what I'm saying is this gonna be elected officials, approving this, or are these gonna be some of the, other?
I think that's what you guys would have to discuss, as we pull something together, kind of discuss who are you identifying as the department, like what departments are you approving this for, who's the head of that department that has the authorizations?
Board approval versus department approval.
So board would approve the budget, the department would approve that discretionary spending.
And then that each department would be responsible for that budget.
Yep. And then on top of that, I think you need to give consideration that if the same person is responsible for multiple departments in some capacity, do they have one overall limit for all that they approve, or is it each department has that specific limit? And just some stuff to consider as the thoughts.
By account number, or however you want to say it.
Well, it's by department now, it's different numbers each department, so.
But you could break it down in further in the account line, in whatever that number line is, in the budget or whatever. It depends on how far you want to break that.
Right, and we've been talking about that also, breaking things down even a little more, like mileage is kind of all one lump sum, we want to do it by department, like try to get it where.
But there's gotta be accountability on the other end.
Correct.
So, on top of that, so one of my questions, Tara, because I don't know if there's a policy or I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do it. So monthly, when I see the checks, is there a reason we have to have a check for every single invoice, even if it's the same vendor? Is that just for tracking, because it's easier?
It depends on when we know what it is, what can we.
Well, like this month, there's 2 for the lawn guy.
Okay, so
They're
the
done on the same day, one check apart.
Yeah.
Why can't we add the payables and do one check?
There was, that one I have to double check, but I know we have, the cemeteries is a separate check.
No, I understand they would have to be separate. Okay,
Yeah.
These are both in the general, there's 2 to Foster Swift the same way.
Those are probably done by what invoice, if it, and the month, like if the invoice was for June, or if it was for July, I try to keep those separate.
Okay, so,
But if we got, I don't know, and I didn't do all of this, some of those I had to do, so I have to go back to it and double check that.
and then in addition to that, like, there's employees that are getting reimbursements. There's in particular, there's one that's got 3 this month. So why aren't we just doing reimbursements like when we do payroll, so that there's one reimbursement for the month? It just, this is creating more work for you, more work for her, more checks that have to be cleared on the bank,
So
right?
typically, that's what I try to do, is I try to do all of them at the same time. If I happen to not be here that day, we will just do whatever's in the box and get it done, so that I don't have to worry about it, come back. But I like to do all of the reimbursements at one one time, and I try to put them all in one check when I can, with different line items, unless it's a different thing, like I know we had some reimbursements that were postage for solar versus postage for general, and we were trying to track some of that, so I would have to look at which individuals and which items we're talking about. It is, but some of that was specific things we're trying to keep track of.
But if she doesn't break it out, then there's another issue, if you don't break it out, so.
Well, I mean, we just got some different things.
You have to
going on.
account for it in a way.
We're trying to streamline some things, and it's, so far, some of it's working, and there's a few things we're still working out.
Reimbursements internally specifically seem like it should be, when you pay, performance reimbursements, I mean, which is whatever. And you should be able to see the accounts, even though she might mix envelopes, office supply with mileage, it's gonna land in two different areas, so you should be able to see it through. Okay, I was just wondering. That's all.
Okay. Right, so I didn't want to talk a whole lot about the financial necessarily, but more about just the accounting process getting to there. I know there's been a lot of work done, obviously a lot of concerns through the year with where the financials were, changes in numbers and such. Before the meeting today, I was able to give everybody a copy of all of the journal entries that we created outside of your BSNA records currently. So what we did is took the BSNA records that you had as of 3/31, did our preliminary work on our system, and came up with this list of journal entries. I know they're a bit small, and I'll send this to you electronically as well, so that you have it.
Did you bring a magnifying glass with you?
Not quite, but, so I wanted to make sure everybody had these, so you guys can have time to look through what the journal entries are. If you have questions, feel free to ask, at any point. But the two areas that had the biggest impact on the financials compared to what you would have seen on your 3/31 budget to actual reports were changes to the recognized property tax revenue for the general fund and the road fund. Through the year, as we started this process, when the property tax levy went out, I had set up a receivable for the total levy and then revenue for the total levy. Then I realized as the payments were coming in, they were getting receipted to the revenue as well. So the revenue was basically double stated what it should have been. So we reversed that receivable, reversed the revenue to bring the revenue back in line with where it should be. So that revenue may have been overstated a little bit on some of your reports. So that got reduced down, and then in the general fund, you had originally recorded the expenditures for the Secluded Acres road paving project. We moved that out to its own fund, to a specific special revenue fund for Secluded Acres, which is more appropriate, and you'll see that in the financial statement. So instead of that being in your expenditures, it got reclassed out to a transfer out to Secluded Acres, and then Secluded Acres has its own fund there. So those, were sizable dollar amounts that you'll see through some of these transactions. And then the last one was we kind of ran into issues at the end of the year with the current tax fund checking account. What happened is it appears the drains at large that should have been paid out of general fund got paid out of the tax fund, and then money got transferred back over there. And it was right near end of year transfer or crossover into early April that happened. So that expenditure had to be recognized in the general fund. That wasn't there on your prior reports. That was about $44,000. So we got all the funds kind of balanced out of where the cash needs to be in each fund, where those revenues and expenditures are. So the packet I gave you earlier is a list of the journal entries as well as the adjusted trial balance for each of those individual funds that connects to the financial statement. So you'll have all of those detail amounts. Sarah, to your question to Tyler, the receivable amount it's on page 4 of that journal entry list. It's in JD number 1009. It was that full $9,905. That was the refund from Foster Swift. I think the original balance was like $10,400, and they refunded the $9,905 in April. Really, two areas I want to address on the financial that I think for how this year went and how stressful it was for everybody, I think you ended up in fantastic shape. And I want to make sure you guys know that and everybody knows. Really, the township is in really strong shape at the moment.
There's no issues with the transfer from QuickBooks to BSNA, that is over.
That is over.
Thank you.
Yep. So on page 31 of your financial statement, this was the budget to actual that Tyler referenced a little bit. There's four departments or functions that went over budget on the expenditures. I don't have any concern with those.
Wait a minute, what page?
Page 31 of your financial statement. This is the Manor financial statement.
This, in this,
Sorry.
in the book.
Oh,
I believe
in
it's
the
page
book.
31. Yep, sorry. So I know there was a lot of concern through the year of where the budget was at, how we were doing budget actual on there. So I wanted to highlight this just so everybody knows where things are at. I guess really there were 5 functions that were over budget. One of them was the treasurer by $126, so I'm really not concerned about that, but I believe that was more anything Susie's additional pay from the extra hours, things of that nature. I didn't go through every detail on that one. Next one's $21, that again, very minor. The biggest one is the building and grounds for $13,191. I don't have the detail of what's in there at the moment. I could look through if you want to know exactly which line item went over budget within that department. Other general government by $5,000, and then community economic development by $1,200. Again, there were departments that went over budget, but overall your expenditures were under budget by $94,000 for the year. So within those departments, you had some little hiccups here and there, but overall you guys came in really well compared to what you budgeted for the year. From a state perspective, the state wants to make sure that if you go over budget, it's not more than 10% over budget in essence. They asked 3 questions. Did the department or the line item go over budget? If so, was that line item more than 10% of total expenditures, including transfers out? And if so, was that more than 10% over budget? If you hit all 3 of those, you have to write a corrective action plan to the state. You guys don't hit those on any of these 3. The one that was closest was that building and grounds, but that's under 10% of the total expenditures and transfers out, so it's not going to be an issue from the state on that. So, and then Mike, that was kind of one area you did a lot of focus. We really got to, February, I think, and started realizing how many issues were there in the financials and getting those cleaned up. And within that month, kind of pulled stuff together, cleaned it up a bit, got a rough budget together of where it was looking like things were gonna be. Did a couple of amendment on some items there. But for how chaotic the year was, for how frantic it was coming into that year end, it was, all the issues that you guys already know were there. I think it came in really solid from what the potential was.
Are you looking at a better February, this coming February than last February?
Yep.
Okay.
So my anticipation is now that we got this approved, I'll get these journal entries in place, get the 3/31/25 fiscal year closed out in VSNA. Then we can do a review through September 30th once that closes, just to have the first 6 months really cleaned up, closed. You get all of these bank recs finalized, so you guys have comfort that they're there, they've been reviewed, they're final, there's no goofy outstanding items on them, and really have a solid set through September and know that nothing should change from that point monthly forward other than just the monthly continued activity. And then the last part I wanted to talk about is, I believe it's page somewhere around 14.
In the book?
Yep, in the book. Page 14. This is your statement of revenues, expenditures. I've compared a lot of our other clients on what they have for fund balance compared to their expenditures. And it seems our townships that are really well managed have typically between a half a year's worth of expenditures up to about 2 years worth of expenditures. To me, that says you're not cutting so low that you're risking not being able to pay your bills on time or running into issues if something happens with funding. No more than 2 years says you're putting your taxpayers' money to work. You're not overtaxing them. Whatever you're getting in, you're turning around and using. So your total fund balance at the end of the year was $1.6 million. Your expenditures were $1.1 million, so you're at about 1.5. So you're really comfortably right within that range of where I like to see. So you have a healthy fund balance, money available to use towards projects, but again, it's not so high that it doesn't feel like it's being put to work for your residents. So So, from that, I think, they're in really strong standing financially. And just in the last 2 or 3 months since I was here last, and we talked about a long-term plan in terms of the accounting, we have a 6-month plan with training, seeing some of the department, some of the transactions improve and where things needed help there. I think that's ahead of schedule from what I've seen. This past month, I believe Susie called me for one item, and that was just that it needed to get done so Susie could get the bank recs done. Tara was out at training that day, so she wasn't able to do it. She just called to see if I could get that transaction entered so she could get those done and move on that day. So I think things are coming together very strongly.
Thank you.
And we've only given him a few gray hairs. Julie and I, Tim.
Good Lord, my son.
Any other questions or concerns?
Sarah? Sarah, you sure?
George,
Sure.
take a gift when you get one.
Thank you so much, Charlie. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Not a
Truly.
problem.
We do, thanks, Father.
Yeah, thank you, bud.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So all that being said, I believe we need to approve this for the 24-25 audit. So if somebody wants to make a motion for such a thing,
I make a motion that we approve what we've been presented with for the audit for 24-25.
Second.
so the motion to approve as presented, I got a second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carried 5-0. Okay, let's go on to the BSNA for trustees, old business,
Okay, so I tried to create accounts, only for the trustees, and when I went to create the accounts, it only would give me clerks, treasurer, assessor, supervisor, and auditor. So I reached out to BSNA, well, first I played with it for probably longer than I should have. And then I finally reached out to BSNA, and I had a help ticket with them. They finally got back with me and didn't really understand through help tickets, so then we had a phone conversation. And I'm actually following up with them again tomorrow, because she said, okay, now I understand what you're looking for. And so she said, when I come in tomorrow, reply to her email, and then she will call me. So that's,
so
it's in the works,
in the works and moving on forward.
close.
Questions, anybody on that? Okay, we move on to the 9A, which was the fire authority pay.
I do not have an answer on that one, so, actually.
Okay, good, you had a chance to know, like, when you, is that part of her, like, Heartland stuff that gets through that?
There's nothing in Heartland, and I looked back at what Bill's was, and there was nothing in Heartland or in our, payroll resolution to say specifically what they got paid. And then I asked Bill, and Bill gave me one of the e-documents that I paid, and I can't find exactly where you verify that, because when you look at payroll, when it comes out of Heartland, it says a total amount for everything you've been to that month.
Doesn't matter.
So when I was looking back at previous payroll statements. So that's all I have on that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a resolution on that or.
I couldn't find one.
I
That
couldn't.
doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
I could not find one either for whatever reason, but, well, next month, if we can't find something, then we're gonna present a resolution to do so.
No, so,
Does anybody even know?
like, we,
I don't know.
Okay. So in your payroll,
yeah, it
I
was
never-
$70,
Bill
that's
does.
what Bill
I'll look
he was
at it.
getting paid, so that's what I put to 70, which might be low, honestly, I
I
don't
think-
know, or
Darby, yes?
In the past, we have not separated which meeting gets paid what amount. It was just the meeting pays $90.
Okay,
Same,
yeah, that was the question.
same as the planning commission.
I'm sorry?
Same as the planning commission, we just,
Everybody, yeah,
just
unless,
name period.
doesn't matter which position, I mean,
Unless you
chair
have
and
a-
secretary,
Right.
I
yes.
think what,
But if it's just a meeting, it's $90, regardless whether you go to the rec department or you go to the fire department, rec center or the fire department.
Never happened.
That's how
so
it
there
goes.
was, since you've been on, there was, I know, a new resolution that was kind of adopted, and I think some of these things were missing on it. So we're gonna have to look at that, see what it states.
Well, and I have it, and it doesn't talk about that one, and it talks about some committee and board meetings, but not others. And that was something that I said I wanted to go over, and
Okay,
we need to, because we're already gonna have to update George's ex officio information on there. So the whole resolution needs to be, gone
so
back.
we're gonna clean the resolution
Yes.
next meeting.
The one I have does say committee meeting, just says committee, board member meetings. Like, it does say committee.
Okay.
So it should have been just
And
$90.
it says-
So she should be getting $90.
Yeah. Even our board of review, they get $90.
Right,
They do, okay.
And this is from August 2020.
right, that was the review.
That was the one we've been talking about, and we were talking about.
Alright, well, we'll look at it. See what needs some revision. Okay, next item is, next item would be the Eva Lane, and Russ is not here for an update or where he is on that.
No, you're,
Oh, that's the fresh.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we're at the fresh.
Is there an update on that?
So the last update I got from Russ, they were moving it out of there. You can- Oh, more, yeah. And like comply. It's been a little bit since it got there, and it's not here, so.
With no talk of a pull down meeting, just getting it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
No talk of doing anything else.
Did she do the response that she told George she would do?
Yeah, but she was talking to Russ at the meeting.
Correct.
You asked for it.
Written response.
I believe I did,
You
yes.
did, and I've not seen it.
We're gonna do a Russ question.
Because she's really, so,
And then send people in.
Eva Lane, correct. I mean, I know they were given the maximum fine the one time. I know the first two fines were paid, the third one I'm not sure yet, which is the 500. We'll have to see from us where that's at, and then as a board, we're gonna have to figure out how we wanna move forward. I mean, according to our ordinances, we can buy them $500 a day, every day until it's renewed. So do we wanna do that, or do we wanna write something up, every 7 days we find them $500? Like, how do we wanna move forward? with
Didn't that
this?
start after the show? We had a show.
Yeah, and the fine, what, two,
Fine and.
three fines?
Three fines.
So far. They paid the first two, I'm not sure about the third one yet,
Any correspondence?
not from me. I mean, not since this show cause, I mean, she didn't want me, before all that, cause she.
But they didn't show at the show.
Correct, but she didn't wanna deal with us, and I told her, it's a no, and she was doing it.
But does Eva Lane have a, association or not?
They don't have an active HOA.
Not active. But is there a bylaw?
For their master deed, yes.
So they have a master deed and, but no bylaw?
Their master deed has bylaws.
Okay, but their association is not activated?
Their HO, like, they don't, I know that they're in the midst of working on that, and they have since got it deeded from Culver, whoever, into the association name.
Was it, yeah, because wasn't that part of the issue is because there was an association or, deeded, there was,
I haven't got the paperwork yet, but I heard that was in the midst of being happening. And then they were trying to, so really, none of them really want an HOA, but if they have to do the HOA to do it. And then I believe for the HOA to be activated fully, all of the residents have to agree, which obviously one isn't.
and I don't think that's in the case right now,
Exactly.
okay?
So I know that a lot of the residents have worked together, and last I heard, it has not happened yet. That's all that I can give.
So, I know that when we were looking at doing an HOA for our private road, that yes, all residents, if you're creating one after the fact, have to be in agreement, and every single resident has to sign off on it.
It's not a simple majority.
Yeah, and that's why we don't have that.
So obviously, one is,
Oh.
obviously that one resident isn't going to
But
agree.
that common area is still owned by those residents, right?
Yes, correct.
So it's a matter of, does this board want to continue to find?
No, I'm not arguing with that, I'm just saying, we had that discussion back, I think, during that public hearing on the show cause, but if there is a master deed with bylaws, does that preempt the township? Is what I'm getting at, okay, and without having those documents, I can't say one way or the other. Because that would be a separate legal matter, the way I look
So
at it.
then the question would be, does the enforcement fall on the residents, which had been in our particular case,
If
or?
there's deeded restrictions
or
or
the-
bylaws, okay, even with there's no association, that would prevail over
Oh,
the
I
township.
100% agree with that.
That's all I'm saying,
The
that's all I'm saying.
enforcement though, does it fall on the township, or does it fall on the residents at that
I'm gonna
point?
defer you back to the language in the documents.
And another thing to think about, if they didn't pay the last fee, that every time the police officer goes out there, all of the residents pay that
Correct.
until they, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if they're not paying that, and sometimes he's had to go out there multiple times, so we get, as a township, get charged for that time for the police officer to go out. So how big of a bill do you want with the follow the police if you're not even collecting the fee, do you know what I mean? From the tickets.
It's a cost benefit.
Yeah, like you don't want everybody else's portion of the general
But-
fund to.
Well, and let me say this, it's cost benefit, but if you engage in selective enforcement and you're not consistent, it's gonna come back and bite you. And Dennis knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I thought after 3 tickets you could take them to court.
I'm just saying, being consistent, I don't care what way you go, you have to be consistent. Dennis has a question.
Dennis?
More of a statement, I think. I believe the issue for the township is that he never got a permit. And I think the issue of the pool being over in the set-aside area is a civil matter between all of the residents, so.
It's two
I would
separate
think-
issues.
Yeah, two separate issues. I would think that, like what you're saying, George, that now that you've got 3 tickets out there, now's the time taking to court on just the fact that he didn't get a permit. And I think that's an easy win, and you're right, if you don't enforce it, what are you gonna do down the road?
Well, that's just it. You can't,
Yeah.
if you're gonna enforce your ordinance, you're gonna enforce it. But if you're not gonna enforce the ordinance, what's the point of having the ordinance?
Doesn't the board have to agree to take the next step to court though? Is that
Well-
what works?
I just wanna make sure that we have the legal right to do it. To Dennis's point, I think we do on the permit, but on the other pool issue and the encroachment, I don't know if we do.
It's civil.
I personally would agree with that we have a right to enforce the permit, but if they have bylaws and, even though they don't have an HOA, they still have bylaws deeded with their properties, that would be more civil.
I will get with Russ, and him and I will do a phone call tonight,
I think that's a good idea.
we'll get it handled and done, and we'll bring it to the next month's meeting, like,
Make a decision.
You're setting precedent. You're
correct.
setting precedent.
Okay,
So both of those will be Russ will update next month.
Yep.
Just to be clear.
So 90 and 19.
Nancy,
Let's move on to the P-116 application.
Okay, so Brandy, will you come up for this too? 'Cause we've been working on this together.
Here we go.
So we have a PA 116 for part of, for a parcel that is in our township, but they also own in Handy Township.
It's one lot with 2 parcel ID numbers.
And our section is,
31,312.
yeah, but how big was it? Cause it was just
5.8.
5 something acres.
how do you say one lot and you need two parcels?
Cedar secluded ridge is sold as one lot.
So if you look at this map back here, and then there's an aerial, there's a picture somewhere on here too.
5.18 acres.
Yeah, this whole thing is theirs, and,
So where this parcel lays is in the Heidi,
Principal residence.
huh?
Is that what?
the
it's all
principal residence is,
residence.
yeah,
Well, they both technically are because it's contiguous.
That's why you're calling it one lot.
So it's not a subdivision. Do you know where Heidi Jane is? Okay, so
It's
off of Stowe Road, it's kind of like a subdivision, except they have bigger parcels. Where Heidi Jane lies is right, part of the sub is ours and part of the sub is Handy Township. So it was sold as one lot, but it's 2 parcels, just like, in Secluded Ridge where we have 5 parcels on the left side. They have half of their lot in Byron School District and half in Fowlerville. It's one lot with 2 parcels. It's because of
School district.
no, this is our
this is
township
because of the
line.
township line.
Okay.
Secluded is
Yeah,
because
so
of
it's
school
right
district.
here, right here. where
That's
the
why I
line
sent you
is.
guys a picture of the aerial so you had a visual.
Right, so where the line is, the house is in Handy Township, and this property here along Red Cedar with all the trees is our township.
Is the applicant here?
Nope.
Nope,
And basically what we're looking at for the P-116 is this parcel that's in our township. We're not even looking at that picture, because that's not our township. Andy asked if we provide that one.
You're looking at 012.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only thing you guys have voting power over.
The pie shaped wooded lot.
yes,
Yes.
this,
Okay, on the river.
Correct.
Okay, there's there cows or chickens or?
there,
Tara and I actually drove out there. In their application, it says that they have 3 chicken tractors
until, and that
And
our
the-
portion is tillable, it is not.
and that combined they have 10 acres tillable. Tara and I did see 1 chicken tractor and then a very small, like smaller than their pool that you see in the aerial, like little vegetable garden.
Yep.
Do you have those pictures with you?
I do not know, but they're on.
But anyways, they say that they have 10 tillable acres
Sorry.
and 5.1 of them is dense wood, plus a huge barn, an asphalt driveway, a pool, and a house.
The application's not even complete.
I know.
We know.
And just so you guys know, I did reach out to MDR for guidance on this, because really, this has nothing to do with the township. It's a reimbursement between them and the state, so I don't know why it's even goes to us.
But that's the process.
Yes,
Right.
that's the process, but clearly it's missing. They did not provide the financial statements. Tara had reached out to them, and he told them,
He did come in and he told me it's really hard to get a total of, what like a statement, because a lot of his business is cash.
That's a problem. There's no deed.
I did
Oh,
bring
she
you guys
does
a
have
copy of deed. They only gave you a partial, and then I wanted to point out that they gave you a copy of their, refinance paperwork,
Not the original.
not the original. I do have the original deed if you guys wanna look at it.
That's
And
fine.
then that's part of the thing, right? But the application has different last names than their refinance paperwork or their deed.
So how in the world can they meet 51% of the land area devoted to agricultural use when our thing is completely wooded?
That's what my.
According to the map that they drew, that's the grazing area.
Okay, well, where's the end?
There was.
They're in a chicken tractor.
Yeah.
Wait,
Chicken- what's a chicken tractor?
Is that the thing that they
It's the
need?
thing you use for the grass, yes.
So it's a chicken.
Wait a minute, George quit off and I explain to me what a chicken tractor is.
It's like a hooper style chicken coop that's on wheels that you lift up and move so that the chickens have fresh grass.
Oh,
And
you're on
then
a farm wagon?
you don't wear out one spot, so you just move it over and they eat there, and you move it over and.
Okay.
Typically for meat food.
So also the requirements say they have to have 2 out of 3 tax years, they have to have this.
Yeah.
And they
Right.
haven't even owned it that long.
Well, so they actually purchased it December 28th of 2022, so they are just short of the 3-year.
Yeah.
So they could have done the 2 out of the 3, but they gave you 0.
And they also gave us no accounting of that, it says.
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, they
told
just
him.
have a.
This
right
whole
number.
thing is incomplete. Hold on.
I told him that. and
So I did reach out to MDR because obviously it's not a complete application, it's not farmland, you're not preserving, it's a subdivision. And, I called on the 26th, I called last week, and I called today. It specifically tells you not to leave more than 1 message, and they never call us back.
Yeah.
As guidance, like, do you want us to just approve it, cause it doesn't have anything to do with us, and you guys deal with it when it gets to you?
So the columns are really grazing.
Because they do
Yes.
have,
Including the pool.
yeah, the pool's a grazing area too. But they do have the right to contest in 30 days, so that's where I kind of wanted some guidance from NDR, but you guys,
What contest where?
if you guys deny, they can contest.
That's fine.
And
Yeah, but
it's-
then maybe they'll bring us all the information.
Yeah.
So if we deny they're contesting here within 30 days,
It says,
or at the state level?
they
Or
appeal to
county.
the state.
Oh,
Well, then the state can do it, right?
yeah.
But I don't know who would like represent us, like, who's,
Why do we have to be represented?
you deny that.
It says the landowner must appeal directly to MDR in 30 days.
So that can be their
It's not
problem?
It's not complete.
No, and I told him.
And it's not
that's-
farmland.
There's all kinds of stuff on this.
So I talked to him in person, he came in, I don't even remember why he came in, but he ended up coming in again to make sure that I got his thing, because she had it, and, make sure that I got it, and, I said, well, I flipped over to where it says that I need 2 or 3 years of financial statements, and that's when he told me it's really hard to, give me that.
And one of the things it did say that they need, his valuation report, I was not here at the time that he came in, so I did add that into the application because he can only get that from me. So I did add it, I did give that, put it into there.
So you have the deed and this statement of assessment?
Yes, but I will not put his deed in there for
The
him.
deed was the previous owner.
No,
No.
the deed, he gave you a partial of his deed in here, there's like 2 of the 3 pages, I can let you look at the deed if you wanna look at it.
What, can you tell us what last name, because that was
You
where
said
I
it was a
had
different last
questions.
name.
Yes, so the
Cause I pulled
name
this all
on
up
the
online.
name on the application, the wife's name is Denbrock, but according to the deed and everything else, the husband's last name is.
It was something else, his,
It starts with S.
like it was almost like he put her last name on here, or she filled it out.
Sermon, S-E-R-M-A-N.
Yeah, that was it.
And like I remember when they all came in, she didn't take his last name, so I would think it's weird that he would take her last name after the fact, but I have no idea. Things are weird. But the deed doesn't say that last name, and if you look through where they gave you those, refinance statements,
Well,
even the tax bills for ours and Handy Township, it's different last names.
I think the application.
And the closing, it's a closing disclosure for the refinance, it's the different last names too.
Personally, I think it's.
I mean, I don't know if that's-
Motion to deny based on lack of information.
Yeah. Second.
That's, yeah.
So tomorrow, we have to mail them back the original copy, so I'll make copies of everything so we have it just in case. But this packet has to be mailed back to them with a reason why.
To be clear, Brady, you said you pulled that deed, he didn't provide it.
No.
Correct.
So you're not putting that in there.
Absolutely not. I'm not allowed to share my deeds. I just brought it in case you guys wanted to look at it.
We can't go down this road. Because if we do it here, we have to do it for everything.
Listen, if you guys approve this, I was gonna try it.
We have a motion by George and a second by Tara to deny the PA 116 application due to lack of information on the application.
Can we amend that to say lack of information and, conflicting information?
Conflicting or inconsistent?
Inconsistent.
We can, inconsistent.
Not
Lack
farmable
of
land.
inconsistent information on the application. All in favor, say aye.
Was there a second?
To my amendment. Oh, yeah, I second.
Yeah, aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is the, GIS mapping system for the township for branding,
Randy, get back up here.
No, we're good. $708.41 is what the cost is on that.
That's not just for Randy, just so you know.
Pardon me?
That's not just for me.
So who
No, I
is-
said Brandy and Russ in the township.
Okay, a motion to approve 718, I guess.
708.41.
Hold on a second, that's not an actual bill, I would not vote on that. That's an estimate
Right.
for the flyover that happens every few years.
Oh, that's just for
That's,
that,
that's just for
the
the
one-time
flyover.
thing, that's not the service then?
Correct, that's the one-time thing that you guys, every few years when they do the update,
Yeah,
that's an estimate of it. Sandon had told us that our last assessors association meeting, that it was almost ready to go live, when it goes live is when you guys get the bill. I said, because I think the last time it was discussed and approved was under the previous board, that it would be a good idea that it be brought to this board as a reminder that every few years we participate in that. Sandon estimated that that's what our cost would be, that's not a true bill. I would not vote on that yet till it comes, it should be coming soon.
Okay.
But what I was going to propose is that we do a not to exceed on it, so that we don't have to do the
Oh,
same.
okay.
So I was, jumped ahead on that.
go ahead.
So I was gonna say that we do a not to exceed on that of like $1,000. That way we're covered.
Okay, I rescind my motion, go ahead.
So a motion to, for the JS mapping system to not exceed $1,000.
Question, who was our second?
So moved.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Motion for GIS mapping system not to exceed $1,000. Okay, made by Mike Brown.
Okay, clarify what that does for the township.
So every 3 to 4 years, they have a flyover that goes over, and
Yeah,
it updates the mapping, on the mapping,
on GIS.
on GIS.
Okay.
So it, you have the property lines and stuff, and we can measure from it. Russ and I use it daily.
Well, when they do the flyover, can you keep the plane below the picture when they take the picture out of the picture? Cause when I had
I've
mine,
seen that before,
you
But I
if I
think-
got one of them,
but I think it's other planes out,
it is.
yeah.
Well, can they eliminate that?
So now I'm not in charge of that, you have to call Sandy.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Are we passing motions without full board approval?
No, it's really out of line.
So we have a motion.
Okay.
All right, let's restate the
May
motion,
I
please.
restate the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. Motion for GIS mapping system not to exceed $1,000 made by Mike Brown, seconded by Sarah Porter.
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Degra.
Yes.
Tiefler, yes. G. Bushy.
Yes.
Esport.
Yes.
Ember.
Yes. Motion carried 5-0. Next one is new zoning maps and section maps, which is $192 for the office here.
How many does that make?
2 each, correct, Brandy?
One zoning map
Each.
and a PDF
Yeah,
of the section maps that I print
Right.
myself.
Wait, I have a question before we, there's two different emails here.
There should be two different questions. Or three, I have three requests in front of me.
Oh, okay,
So
number.
the zoning map and section map are like two different maps, and then the zoning board, then there was, what was the other one, Brian? There was three.
The, land value map, and then the next email should show you the pricing for a land value map. It actually has three prices, but I only want one.
So you want the single map for $86, not the whole set for $258?
Correct.
Okay.
Why is
Just-
that? Why is that?
Because previously for the AMAR that was required, to be done annually, I have not yet come across one. I am 99% sure since my taking over, we have everything where it would be, but it was suggested that one time we look at it. And the only reason I'm asking for one is my classes match my land tables, which match my ECF. So one would, just the land value table would, it's the same information, because I do checks and balance to make sure there's no cross-contamination.
But what would the other maps provide?
The same information in my opinion. One shows you all the land values in the township, one shows you all the ECFs in the township. Our ECFs and land values match.
ECF?
Economic condition factor. And then we have different residential, land tables and ECFs. So breaking it out like that's not helpful to me, so that's why I didn't. The land value one would be perfect. I won't ask for it again, I just wanna make sure that there's something on the map that doesn't like pop out, like why is only this one that? So it looks good when I go through my columns, but just one time to be able to see it on the map.
And you don't need the sales map either?
No.
What would be the benefit of the sales map? If, like, just.
The sales map shows you all the sales that happened in the last 2 years that were our sales study, which is where the values for the land tables and the ECS come from.
Which
So-
is homes and vacant, whatever.
Whatever is sold.
Yeah, so those sheets that I have on the website, they have all the sales for everything, it would show it to you on the map, like where the sales happened in the township.
We're not talking about water.
But I had asked for it and they asked for a bid, so that's stupid.
Okay.
And then the zoning map, because of all the changes in the last couple of years, the map that sits behind Russ's desk, which he refers to often, is the only one that we're gonna change right now. And then the section maps, I print them, Liz had bought me little things so that they don't rip in our book. So I just make them because it's cheaper than having them printed. So they give us the PDF and then I print it because we have 3 hole punch paper. Both Russ and I have binders. And then we pull out our subdivisions and keep those from year to year because that doesn't change. And then I just update it. A lot of townships do it every year. We don't always have a lot of movement. If there's just a couple splits, we just draw the line. But it's been, I think he said, was it 22 the last time I asked for it?
Yeah, 22.
So we've been drawing lines for the last couple of years. We had 36 or so new parcels just last year. So it just needs to be done again.
I'm gonna make a motion to purchase the whole set for $258.
I don't.
Motion's been made.
I will second.
We have a motion by George, second by Deb to purchase the entire package for $258.
But
That's just
That's
for
for- I need
this,
the other
this,
email too.
for this one, not the
Right.
zoning one that we're
Right.
talking about. Okay.
That's the sales line,
Yeah.
you see that?
We already bought the other ones, right?
no.
No, that's not.
Okay, so motion made by George, seconded by Deb to purchase the entire set sales map, land value, and ECF for $258. All in favor, say aye. close enough. Next one. Next one's the section maps and zoning maps. John, you know, we kind of talked about this, and in my notes I have we need 2 of one and 1 of the other or something.
So we need one zoning map, which is the big map behind Russ,
Yep,
and then we get the PDF,
right.
and I will generate 2 section maps out of that.
Don't we have a zoning map or something like that out here in the hallway too for residents to look at when they come in?
Yes,
We were,
but
we're gonna be redoing the zoning ordinance, so is that gonna
we
change?
were waiting
Oh,
to do
yeah.
the ones in the hallway until the master plan
I
was
agree.
done.
Correct.
And so Russ does need that, and I really do need my new section maps. So we figured if we just bought the bare minimum,
Yeah,
that when it updates and everything's done with the master plan, then we would update the hallway.
okay.
So
I just
which,
wanted to make sure.
so which ones you want?
I want one zoning map and an approval for the section maps.
How many?
I print them myself,
So you just need one PDF?
yes.
So, I'll make a motion to approve one zoning map and the one PDF of section maps.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Tara, second by George. 1 zoning and 1 PDF for section map. What's the cost? Is the section map the 180 or the 36?
I believe the 36 is the zoning map.
26 for the.
Or 26.
26 is the zoning.
And the 180 is your zoning map.
Yes,
Or I
and-
mean, your
Section map.
And
is
that's
the-
because he zooms down into each section, and so they're each on one page in the book.
Okay, well, those two are a total cost of $206. Okay,
And we really, since you voted for the other 3 things that, we could put those in the hallway that would have the updated lines in it.
okay,
Or we could wrap George's Christmas present in.
all in favor?
The empty box, is that what you're saying?
All in
Or the
favor,
whole
say
book?
aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. So the next one is a zoning board of appeals, LSU training, that one where zoning board members would like to take, it's an online course for $125 through MSU.
I'll make a motion that we approve the LSU zoning administrator certificate program.
Wait,
No,
no, zoning board of appeals, or no, sorry,
Is it this one?
it's,
There's one for
it's
zoning
all
board.
on the same one.
Yeah, it's all for the same one.
Zoning board of
One is
appeals.
for the zoning board of appeals is the first one for $125.
So ZBA is double one?
Yeah.
Is that the one you made? Second. Want to restate the motion?
Sorry. Yes?
I do have it, as a
Zoning board.
motion to approve zoning board of appeals, MSU certification.
Okay, motion by George, second, or motion by Sarah, second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Those two got mixed up, so we'll do them in order, I guess. So the next one is, well, zoning administrator training and 14 and 15, kind of get backwards on this, but we're fine. So the next one is appointment of a new planning commission member. And like to put Kelly Rocco up for nomination for the, seat that was vacated.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Kelly Rocco to the open commission seat.
Second. Discussion.
Yep, more discussion.
In the future, I'd appreciate if we post these in the paper.
Duly noted.
It has no effect on Kelly Rocco whatsoever. I need the transparency, that's all.
discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to get that. I would like to say one thing, I know in the past that we have posted the planning commission seats on the website, no, not me personally, but prior to us, most of the time, but that's it.
So we
To
can,
George's point.
we can post, and here not, that's fine. Anything else? Nothing? Okay, we have.
Motion to consider, and
Okay,
seconded by
okay, motion by Sarah and seconded by George to appoint Kelly Rocco to be a new member or planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carried 4-1. Congratulations, Kelly Rocco. Okay, the next one is zoning administrator training. And it's kind of in that same line, it just goes a little farther. There's a couple modules that our zoning administrator would have to do, online course stuff, and then there's a 2-day training that he would have to attend, after that. So the cost of the training is $575. They're called on the motel, it's $90 a night, but you have to spend 2 nights. So I'd like to make a motion for that training and do like a not to exceed of $900.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Second.
Speedway.
Yes.
Speedway. Yes. Decommissioning.
Yes.
Export.
No.
No. Okay, then motion carried 3-2. The next item is George, is item 16, supervisor report. Go.
Let it rip, Mike.
1.3 seconds. So what would you like to know?
You've been here a while, I'd like to hear what you gotta say.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is, I'd like to congratulate everybody that, with the BSNA system and stuff, and as Johnny said, how far him and I have discussed it, and how far we've gone. And it's a pretty short amount of time, so people are running here, quicker, and I said to him, I thought we were ahead of schedule the last time he was here, and he agreed. So,
You sounded pretty upbeat.
yeah, so, hopefully we keep moving forward on all that stuff. The next one is, Owasso Road's done with the gravel, in the section that we're doing. I'm working with the county and with the Township to get the rest of it done for next year up to, Hannah Road. Bolivar Road, as you can see, is getting close to being done. Pavement was done today, just like filling the dirt on the sides and striping, those types of things. For next year, I'm also talking to the county about what we're gonna do on the southern end of Bolivar Road, whether we're gonna do a chip and seal or possibly like grind like an inch and a half off or something at the top of it on, or whatever their engineers figure is the
No
best.
fill.
Right. Bolivar Road, the southern end of it.
Was there any discussion at the road commission about a primary pavement project, PPP they call it? It's basically a primary road. paved primary road project, and they only do it on paved primary roads. So was there any talk?
For our township?
Anything.
Same.
Anything.
I'm not sure.
It's a county thing.
Right, so yes, there is talk about that at the county level, and what they're doing, and everything, and talking about the things up there. So, and as far as like our township goes and that, like I said, I'm working on trying to get help from them again. We finished the Wausau project this year, they paid 1/3 of it, trying to get them to pay half next year to finalize that. Also working at to them twice now about Chase Lake Road between Rob and Owasso and the ditching and stuff. We're having issues with a couple of residents there because their drainage is not correct and we're having lots of standing water.
Didn't they do some?
Yeah, they did further down that township.
No, they did the corner of Chase Lake and Rob.
Right,
They did a really good
right
job.
on the
Yeah, right on
corner,
the
that
corner.
was because they redid that drain over there.
There's spots though where it washes out when you get closer to rock. Going up that way.
They say anything about road funding for next year? Like caution,
We had, I know, like I said, I kind of talked to a couple of people up there, Garrett, a couple of people up there, on commission and stuff, the board members to try to get funding for things, but that's roads basically, the drainage, they're wanting us to pay to help fix it. I think it's 20, I gotta do the paperwork out, 20 over here. I have not, I wanna try to send something out to the residents first and see where they're at with that. Where does it, it's, I'd have to look for sure, George, but there's that racetrack that's up over there, where it kind of goes around it. It's kind of old, since I looked at the map, we get back out, but.
Didn't we have a couple of drains that they said we needed to improve a while ago?
That was one, that's one of them.
That's one?
Yes.
What, do you remember what the other ones were?
Is that the one at Chase Lake and Rob?
Yeah.
Sharp, right?
Sharp.
That was one.
Sharp, and that's the other one I was thinking.
But I also talked to him on some of that, with the solar things and stuff, and I told him I didn't want us to be paying up front for all this stuff, and then, dumping right into it. If this is gonna happen, really you should not pay for that. You should be taking the brunt of that burden. And they're gonna be the ones that overflow it and max it out all the time, forever.
Are we done with the whole?
There's a couple little things that we still have to do.
What about our attic?
Correct, that was one of them, if we wanna proceed with that and see like.
We're getting attic mode again?
We had it, we never remediated it.
Oh.
It was
okay.
something that they said was like, could be done, wasn't like 100% needed to be done, but they suggested that it be done. And that kinda got put on hold.
What about the siding and the?
So they were just here the other day,
Oh,
I think so.
yeah, it's all cleaned up and empty.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
um,
yes, it's sold.
but they were back here the other day for, I don't know, 4 or so hours. They fixed a lot of stuff. I went through and pulled on things where it was not nailed properly, right? We got that little tool, they zip it off, right? And everything nailed up, and they snap it back on, right? And I went around after they were done and checked out a bunch of stuff. Other than making them come tear it all back off, I think we're about as good as we're getting on that stuff. I mean, we have some bows in some of the studs and things in the building.
It was done in cold weather.
Correct, which does not help, but they fixed the stuff that's over the window over there that was really bad. They left out a lot of stuff.
Or like the wrinkle was in front of the building and
Right,
up.
right, so they fixed.
Bottom's in front of it.
There's quite a bit. There's a light that's going to put here, like, there is some in the back of Russ's truck.
How come, well, like I said, I never noticed it till my daughter pointed it out to me, because I'm always driving and never looking at the building. And she pointed out about what a horrible job it was, and I'm like, oh, I never really looked at it that closely. How come we never caught any of that in the very beginning?
Well, again, it was cold,
Right.
and then when it warms
When it
up,
warms
everything
up.
expands.
Oh,
Okay, so you get contraction in your siding, and then when it warms up, that's when you get your ripples.
Plus dark colors.
Yeah, it sucks up the sun. Heat,
See, gray siding wouldn't have done
here we go.
Light.
Okay,
She's not letting it go.
any other board member discussion? Last call to the public.
Doug Hausman, County Commissioner, just want to say hello, take a few minutes. I don't know if you had a recognition of Charlie Kirk at the beginning, but if you didn't, I just would like to recognize the tragedy that happened in our country. It's sad. I remember when I was in junior high, that's when President Kennedy was assassinated. It shook the country. In a few years, there was Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, all in a short period of time. And so I'm hoping that this will be an isolated case instead of a pattern. A few things about the county. We increased the animal shelter fees. They're still, we think, quite well below most of the veterinary fees, but the price of everything's going up, and we thought it was time to adjust those up. There also will be special rates for people that are involved with animal rescue, and there'll be other special events that'll lower the price. The veterans millage stayed the same. The veterans millage last year, we raised it because they were spending more money. We allowed them to draw down some of their fund balance. And we are still not charging the full millage rate that was approved by the voters. You don't have to, just because the voters approve a rate, it doesn't mean that you have to ask for it all. So we're still below the rate that was approved by the voters. We also use our opioid funds to help with the MAT program, the medical assisted treatment for people that are addicted. If they come in to the jail and they're already on this program, we continue it. If they're not on the program, but they're addicted, we use a different program. We try to get them off. And when a inmate is released, we offer them a shot that keeps them away from the drugs for, I can't remember, it was a month or 3 months or whatever, they're offered that shot. So we work on that. I think that's all, unless you have any questions.
What's the status on the state budget?
The state budget?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you don't know? How about revenue share? You got any idea on that?
No, I hope that, in my mind, revenue sharing ought to be a given. Because local governments, by law, are not allowed to levy taxes. They're not, and the state does that with the promise of giving local municipalities that amount of money. a certain amount of money. And so in my mind, when, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, the state government has a responsibility to fulfill the promise that they've given to local units of government. And that's, in my mind, that's just, that should be a given. It should not be negotiable, but
Any insights on road funding?
I have no insights on road funding, no.
Okay.
So I have two things. The first one is, I believe you left your code here last time, and it's hanging up out in the hallway on a hanger. I believe it's your code.
Oh,
You can check and see, but
okay, well,
I think it is.
I donate to causes all the time, so.
And then, thank you, Doug.
Sure, thank you.
And then I'm glad you brought that up about the, shared revenue. So, because there is no state law, we're not gonna receive our October shared revenue on time. That's gonna be delayed until that's passed.
Oh, there's issues right now.
Okay, and that part of it is, a constitutional state revenue, so we wanna wait for them to totally get rid of that, right, is to change the constitution. The second one is a statute, two things we did is a statutory, state shared revenue, and they have taken that away. It's we're at like, $4,186 or something that we're not going to give anymore because of that. The rest, this year, I think we're at 389,000 and something with the constitutional revenue share. So we are losing almost $4,200 right into the negative. And I have called our local reps and stuff, and people really need that stuff. Yeah, that's another part of that.
Keep it coming, Mike, keep it coming.
Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by George, second by Deb, all in favor, all in favor, aye. All opposed,